I'm Janice Hostegger. After 3 decades in the marketing business and many years of being an entrepreneur, I've learned a thing or two about marketing. Join me as we talk about marketing, small business, and life in between. Welcome to my weekly marketing.
I don't know about you, but I love a good quiz. Now, I don't mean the kind we took in school. Heaven knows I hated those surprise math quizzes. I mean the kind you find on BuzzFeed. I'm a sucker to find out what kind of Disney princess I am or what pet I'm most compatible with. Turns out I'm not alone in that. Lots of people like quizzes. And that's why they make such a great tool to elevate your lead generation game. Now, you might be wondering, why quizzes? It turns out they're not just for fun and games. From capturing leads to understanding your audience better, quizzes have the potential to revolutionize your marketing. My guest today is Tai Goodwin. She's an award-winning instructional designer, author, speaker, marketing strategist, and CEO of that marketing team. She's also a former teacher turned entrepreneur. Maybe that's why she loves quizzes. Today, she's sharing lessons she's learned about using quizzes and a few other things she's discovered on her entrepreneurial journey. Now, here's Tai. Well, hey, Tai, welcome to the show.
Hey, Janice, I am so looking forward to this conversation.
Well, it's sure nice to have you. Now, tell us a little bit about what your story is and how you got to where you are. And and then we'll dive into some other topics that we want to talk about today.
You know, if you had asked me about 25 years ago, where would I be? I would never have thought that I would be an entrepreneur, that I would have owned a marketing agency, that I would have generated multiple 6 figures in my business. I was a classroom teacher.
Love it.
A 5th grade teacher, had done AmeriCorps. And at my heart, I am a teacher, which is kind of how I got to do what I do today. I started off wanting to be a coach. And at the time, there were not a lot of coaches that were doing the work that I wanted to do. So it was really hard. I wanted to work with a lot of women who looked like me, in a corporate environment. And this was about 20 years ago, mind you. And there were not a lot of, career coaches back then. What I had done, at the time, I was the career makeover coach. And what I had done was really start using social media to get visibility. And so what that led to was people saying, well, hey, you do such a great job with that. Can you show me how to use social media? And so I started teaching people how to use Facebook and LinkedIn, and Twitter was all the rage back then. We had a podcast back, 2007 was one of our first podcast launches that we did. And then from there, people said, well, can we just pay you to do it for us? I said, oh, nice. Okay. And so that's kind of how it got to be. I got to do what I'm doing now, which is a little bit of a combination between the coaching, which I absolutely love, then teaching people how to do their marketing themselves. And then we even have a level of service where we will actually do it for some of our clients because they just don't have the time. Marketing is not their first language, and they'd much rather have an expert than put their hands to it themselves.
Love it. And isn't that always the case, or not always the case, but often the case where we do something and people take notice if we do it well? And that's kind of how my design agency that I had a few years ago started, is how I started doing websites, because suddenly everybody needed a website. And I had just built one, and suddenly you've got all this business, this service business, right? But I also love that you were a teacher, because teaching in itself is not as easy as it looks. Especially when we're teaching adults and we're teaching about something that we know backwards and forwards, it's hard to clarify that and make it easily understood for someone that does not know what we're talking about, right?
That's true. And that's a gift I have. It helped me when I left teaching. I went into corporate training. So I was a corporate trainer or in corporate learning spaces for about 20 years. And that was one of the talents that I was able to use. I worked in a lot of heavy spaces. Like I worked in IT for a while, and it was my job to work with subject matter experts, whether it was IT or finance. And I would literally take what sounded like gobbledygook to the average person. And it was my job to take what they knew and their expertise and turn it into training deliverables and systems and processes and courses that would allow other people to get the benefit of their expertise. And so it was interesting because that married perfectly into what I do now with a lot of the coaches and healers and consultants that I work with, helping them take their brilliance. And I like to call it making it bankable, like taking it and translating it into something that other people can get value and benefit from.
Oh, I love that. What a great trading ground, tech and IT. My gosh. Even today, I was having a conversation with a client about the changes that are coming up in email marketing with Google and Yahoo, and just trying to wrap my mind around all of that to communicate it well enough for a client is definitely a skill. I don't know that I have it, but it's definitely something that I've been working at. But so tell me about your business that you have. Well, you did a little bit about what you do and so on, but what is it that you talked about marketing systems and so on. So tell us a little more about that.
Yeah, so it's always evolving and morphing, and with a lot of the changes that have happened over the last couple of years, where we've landed now is specifically focusing on helping our clients generate leads and generate qualified leads, and putting what we call a repeatable system in place so that you can create predictable income in your business. And so our whole thing is around creating liberated CEOs, right? Liberated in terms of you're able to be authentically who you are and show up authentically in your marketing and your messaging, and also liberated because you don't have to spend all of your time doing everything manually. So we're helping you automate all those marketing pieces that do need to be in place if you want to have a bigger impact, if you want to make more income. At some point, you've got to put some automation behind what you're doing so that you don't create what we call a dead end business where you are overworking yourself because you're doing everything manually. You don't have systems. And what I've seen happen to a lot of our clients is they end up hating their business because the real work that they want to do is with their clients, but they're spending 60 to 70% of their time on tasks that could be and should be automated and systemized.
Right. Or delegated sometimes. But yes, but you're absolutely right. I think this day and age, especially, there are so many options for automation in marketing. And it's with AI now, it's even getting way easier to do all of these tasks. So I know you're a fan of quizzes. So tell us more about how to set up a quiz. So, so initially you'd want to have something called a lead magnet or a freebie offer basically on your site, correct? That would draw people in, and that would be a quiz. And why don't you tell us more about that?
Well, yeah, I discovered quizzes for myself, years ago. And I created my first quiz, I think back in 2013. So I've been doing this for a while. But when my last day job ended in 2017, and I knew that I needed to get more people on my email list because, you don't have a business if you don't have anybody to sell to. And, the first time I left my job, I didn't have a list. I didn't have an active list. And I did have a list of people that was about 2.5 years old, right? Because, down, you keep lists and all that kind of stuff. And I sent out an email to those 2,500 people that had not heard from me in about 2.5 years. And within 10 days, I had 500 people back on my email list.
Oh, nice.
And I used that to build my coaching practice back up. And I share that because I know there are a lot of people who struggle with building their list. They've been at it for years and they barely got like 100 or 200 people. So immediately when I was able to generate, 500 people back on my list, I realized that I was onto something. And then later I ended up using Facebook ads to drive traffic to my quiz. And those numbers were even better. Within 4 months, I took my email list from 1,700 people to over 12,000 people.
Wow.
4 months. And I didn't
That's
go
great.
Facebook ads. Yeah. It wasn't like $1,000 a month. I was spending about $600 a month on Facebook ads and those kind of leads. And that helped me build my business. So then I was able to hit 5-figure months consistently. And I share that because I don't want people to think that quizzes are flukes, right? It's like, and what people know about quizzes is they'll know like, oh, I took a BuzzFeed quiz, or, what color is my aura, or what Harry Potter house are you in? And those are fun. But we're talking about behavior-based quizzes that actually deliver value to people.
Mhm.
And those things are a game changer because we're all a little bit narcissistic. Like we love to know about ourselves, right? And quizzes help us figure out like who we are, how we are, what's stopping us, right? And so and that's part of the first thing that you really want to do when you are, creating your quiz is that you really got to be clear about who you're talking to. Right.
Mhm.
So is your audience clear? Is your offer clear? And is your message clear? Because if you don't have those three things clear, you cannot create a good quiz. Like you can't create an effective quiz.
That is really true, especially the audience part. Well, all of it. You're right. The messaging, everything has to be very, very clear.
Mhm.
And so that would be the starting place, probably. It's just
That's the
getting those,
starting
those,
space.
yeah, getting those three in place. So tell me
Mhm.
about the kind of quiz that you had such great results with. Did you use an app that you had, or how is it that you, first of all, decided what the topic was, and then how did you put it together? Because it can be kind of challenging to come up with a quiz that people actually want to take, first of all, and that actually get to a result that benefits you, right?
Exactly. Well, yeah. Well, that kind of brings me to the second step, like in this process, right? Is that once you know who your audience and your offer is and what your messaging is, you really have to think about what the hook is, right? Like, what is the quiz title and hook that's going to bring in the people that I really, really want to talk to? And it also has to solve a question or solve a problem that they have. And at the time I was running, I was coaching people and I was coaching people who wanted to leave their day job and start a business. And at the time, everybody was like, oh, the only thing that you can do is you need to become a coach. You need to be a coach. You need to be a coach. Not everybody is fit to be a coach. And so the
Mm.
quiz that got so much traction was, what type of entrepreneur are you?
Mm.
And it
Love
helped
it.
and it honestly came about when I did it the first time back in 2013. And back in 2013, I didn't have any software. It was just a paper download that I would give my clients. And then we'd hop on a sales call. That was my little funnel, right?
Oh, okay. Okay.
Quiz. Then we hop on a sales call and we talk about your results and how I can help you build your business. And it was so refreshing for them because for the first time, a lot of my clients had someone who said, you don't have to be a coach. Right? Or you don't have, the other thing was you have to be a speaker and write a book and get on stage. Well, no, you don't have to do that. There are other types of ways
Mm.
to monetize your expertise. So that was the quiz. But if I had not been clear about who my audience was and what their problem was, which is what the offer, right, that we create solves, I wouldn't have been able to create a quiz that got so much traction. And now, we've got other quizzes. Like we've got a quiz around what type of Facebook ads, like what's called, what's your Facebook ad soulmate or something like that,
Oh,
right?
love it.
We've got another quiz about which quiz is right for your business so that people can figure out if I'm curious about using a quiz. There's 5 different types of quizzes, but we really take our title and our content for our quiz, and it's all based on what problem are we solving for our audience and what's a quick win we can help them with.
So good. That is just on point. Absolutely. So, all right. So that's step 2 is to kind of create something. So how did you lay it out? Like, so did you have like okay, so I know who my target audience is, first of all. So you're looking for entrepreneurs. And second of all, you knew that the results that they wanted, no matter what their results were, kind of directed to something that you could offer, right?
Exactly.
Is
I
that kind
offer
of it?
coaching, right? Around, okay, now that you know what type of entrepreneur you are, let me show you how we can help you launch your business within the next 6 to 12 months while you're working your day job. Right. So it
Mm.
makes perfect sense to follow that. And then, it goes to the third point of the tools, because now you got to have a software or a system. And I see a lot of people, trying to create a quiz in Canva, and that's
Mm.
pretty, but it doesn't give you the opportunity to do all the automation pieces, which are really important. And so we've got a couple of software and tools that we recommend, but once you get your content created first, then you're going to put it into a platform. And it really is about a system. So you can have a quiz platform. And quiz platforms are great because they're going to do all the hard work for you. You don't have to think about the calculations. You don't have to think about any of the numbers or things on the back
Mm.
end. But you also want to make sure that you've got a really good email system or CRM, customer relationship management system, that allows you to actually take the data. This is something I think a lot of people miss. They get so excited about quizzes, and I love quizzes too, right? But they get so excited that they forget that the big value for you as an entrepreneur is that you get data. And I'll share a little bit of
Mm.
light on that. If you just have a paper-based PDF, you're going to get downloads. But the truth is, all you're going to get back is somebody's email address. You don't know anything else about that person.
Mm-hmm.
What if instead of just getting an email address, you knew what some of their biggest challenges were, what some of their biggest pain points were, what some of the things they want to accomplish in the next 30, 60, 90 days, because you asked the right questions in your quiz.
Mm-hmm.
So now when you're able to do your email marketing, which is huge when you're, trying to grow your business, you need to have that list. You've got a way to segment people so you're able to personalize the messaging. And that's a huge thing in marketing right now. People are over, the general messages that go to everybody.
Mm-hmm.
So when you get enough data back from your quiz, which is why you need those tools, because it's going to allow you to tag and segment your audience so that you're only sending you're only sending the right content to the right people at the right time.
That's
And you can do it
perfect.
automatically. Yeah.
Yeah, that really is perfect. So how do you do that? So do you integrate your quiz software with your email software and just, okay, that
Yep,
sounds so easy. Yeah.
absolutely.
And then you
They
can
talk
tag them. Yeah.
Yeah, they talk to each other through webhooks or APIs. For those of you who are super
Mm-hmm.
techie, right? But
Mm-hmm.
webhooks or APIs. So, you got to make sure that you have a tool that plays nicely with the other tools. And, we
Mm-hmm.
teach people, about how to find that out. But, it'll do it seamlessly for you. Like people take our quiz. The minute they take the quiz, they're going to see a landing page that says thank you and offer them to a next step. They're going to get an automated email. And that happens seamlessly. Like I don't go in and send out an email every time. They get a series of they get an email series with like five or six different emails in it that guide them through a nurturing process to get them to take the next step. And we've got that all automated. So that's the third piece. The fourth thing that's really important because, you know who your audience is. You've got your offer, your messaging, right? You've created the content for this quiz. You've got a really good title and hook. You've put it in a system, like a tool, and you got your email hooked up. And the last thing that you absolutely must do is you've got to have a way to drive traffic to your quiz.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you cannot drive traffic to it, you really don't have a great system. And that's for anything. I don't care what kind of lead magnet you're using. Even if you're using a podcast as a lead magnet, and I've got to say that because so many people will tell me, I'm going to use a podcast. And I'm like, well, you do know you have to drive traffic to the podcast. Right. So any lead
Mm-hmm.
magnet, any lead generating activity, you have got to have a way to drive traffic, and a quiz is no different. So, we always help our clients identify the top 3 ways because you never put all of your eggs in one basket. But what are the ways that you're going to drive traffic to your quiz? And there's 3 options, right? You can do it organically, which is, you're going to be posting on social media, or maybe you've got blog posts or using SEO, but it's all that organic stuff that doesn't cost you money. Right. It
Mm-hmm.
costs you time and energy and some expertise, but you can get it done organically. Or you can use leverage options. Like one of the things we love is being on other people's podcasts, right?
Mm-hmm.
All we have to do is show up and share and deliver value. And that's a way for us to drive traffic back to our lead magnet. And then the third way, of course, is paid traffic. And there's all kinds of sources for paid traffic, not just Facebook ads, but you've got Google, TikTok, LinkedIn, Instagram, so many other places, paid ad networks that you can use to drive traffic to your quiz so that every single month you're able to generate leads. And that is what we call having a repeatable system to create predictable income.
Oh, so good. I love that you covered all the bases with that. And you're right. A lot of what we think about is, okay, how am I going to drive traffic to anything, our website or anything we're offering? And you've got to remember that there are 3 options. There's the paid, there's free, which is organic, and then there's borrowing other people's audiences, which is what, we do when we go on a podcast. And actually that's what you're doing today. So I love that you made that distinction because I think people get kind of hung up on that. Like, oh, I have to run ads, but that's not the only way to do it. And there are a lot of other options out there, not just podcasts, but, guest blogs and, just really reaching out to other people who have an audience that is existing and kind of accessing that one as well.
Yeah, absolutely. That's one of my favorite things to do. And it allows you to create some really great partnerships, and if you find the right connections, it can be a really long-term, engagement. You can, whether it's through their Facebook group, or one of my favorite things to do is like somebody will have a live event and they'll be looking for speakers to go, speakers to be on their stage. And that's often, it can also be a paid event sometimes, where you pay to be on someone's stage. And I heard people say, well, I don't pay to speak. And I do want to help people make this distinction that there is a difference between, seeing something as a paid speaking opportunity and seeing something as a marketing opportunity. Those are two distinct things. There have been times when I've paid to be part of somebody's event and I've gotten on stage because they've done all the work to bring my ideal client in their room.
Oh, yeah.
And I might have paid $1,500. Specifically, in one of the last events that I did, it was like $1,500, and I got to be on their stage and talk to their people and get their email list. And I ended up with like $30,000 worth of business from that group.
Right. Yeah. And we
Huge
trade.
ROI.
Yeah, we trade 15,000 for 30,000 any day of the week, right? Yeah, yeah. And that's a really good point with speaking opportunities, because oftentimes, even if it's just a breakout group or, we don't necessarily start with keynote addresses, but even if it's just a breakout group and you have a room full of people that really want to hear what you have to say, even if you have to spend airfare and hotel to get there, it's going to probably benefit you in the long run just from making those connections.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So what's a question, or what are a few tips I would say that you could guide people to, that, let's say they're setting up a quiz. We talked about where to start and where, what we want those people to do. Do you have some software that you recommend, or do you just, kind of look around, do a Google search and try and figure out where to go for that?
Well, that's one way that you could do it. I mean, I can give you the two that we recommend. Like, one of them that we recommend, if you have a WordPress website, the one that I recommend is Smart Quiz Builder. And I can drop links here. I've got some special affiliate links that give you bonuses and those kind of things with it. But, Smart Quiz Builder is one of my favorite, woman-owned software that plugs right into WordPress, and it's a great tool. And then if you're not using WordPress, we recommend try Interact. And I've been a certified partner for Interact for a few years now, and it's one of the easiest tools to use. It's very visual, it's very simple, and it's one of the, like, if you struggle with like tech, and it's not your forte, you always want to make sure you're using a tool that's user friendly, and that's one of the ones that we recommend.
Yes, I've used them too. It's a very thorough platform, I would say, for sure.
Yeah.
So just in terms of your business, so I like to get behind the scenes a little bit about how people run their own business. And you, outside of being a marketer, you also are running a business. So what do you think is your biggest marketing challenge?
Gosh, my biggest marketing challenge for us, it's been like really niching down, because the work that we could do, we could work with so many people. And for the quiz building side of things, we work with doctors, we work with lawyers, we work with real estate brokers, we work with coaches, like all those e-commerce brands, like so many people can use quizzes in their business. But for the coaching side of what we do, my biggest challenge for a while is really focusing on a specific audience. And one of the reasons why you do that, and anybody does that, is because it allows you to really, to me, it allows you to really invest your time better, right? When you're speaking to a specific audience. And so that had been one of our biggest challenges. And people say, well, isn't that a challenge for like newer people? It's a challenge for a lot of people, but especially when you are evolving your business, right? It's not just when you're starting out, but when you're trying to scale and grow. Sometimes you scale or you grow. It's not by reaching more diverse people. Sometimes the best way for you to scale and grow is to bunker down and focus on a specific niche and audience, so you can really build a strong foothold.
That is so true. And I think all of us in our businesses, we do a certain amount of pivoting all the time. I mean, even the big names will do it. I see it, for anyone who's running a business, you always have to make decisions on how you're going to scale and how you're going to grow. And that is hard. I think when we're first starting out, especially if we have a service-based business, we take on any client we can get, right? So we don't want to at that point say, well, I'm sorry, I won't work with you. I have my one other client over here that's in a different category. So you do have to make some decisions about how you're going to spend your time, how you're going to manage your team, and make sure that they're focused on the right things, and make some longer term planning goals that will help you reach those goals that you have. So I think that's really interesting.
Yeah. And it also helps you create really good content. The way one of the things I say all the time is that the way you talk to one audience is not the same way you talk to another audience. I'll give you a perfect example. We work with a lot of health coaches, right?
Mhm.
And if you're a health coach and you said you want to help women lose weight, like that's fantastic. A lot of us are, we have that goal, but the way you talk to a new mom who's,
Mm.
at home, trying to lose the baby weight, not getting enough sleep, is very different from the way you would talk to a woman who's over 50, empty nested, that has a lot of discretionary income and time.
Mhm.
The solution that you offer is going to be different. The way you talk to them and your marketing is going to be different. And if you try to send out the same email to both of those audiences, it would misfire. Right. And so
Mhm.
that's just something to really keep in mind. It goes back to what I said about the first thing with your quiz, like your audience, your offering, your messaging, how key and integral that is to anything that you're doing with marketing, especially your email marketing and especially your lead generation.
Oh, right. Yeah. So if they had a quiz, for example, a health coach provider, if they had a
Yeah,
quiz, they would know who they're talking to and how to segment them in their email.
absolutely. And the quiz would be different. The quiz for, a new mom, right?
Mm.
Fastest way to get your free baby body back, right?
Yeah.
That would be
Totally different hook.
you're not going to give that quiz to a woman who's over 50.
Although
Right? Like,
I,
what's the best way to get your vacation body, your
right.
bikini body, so just in that nuance alone, it's going to attract and pull in the right people, but it's also going to deflect the people who you're not trying to talk to as well.
Hmm. I love it. And so how do you recommend, or how do you determine how you're going to niche down? How is it that you figure out which one is the one to focus on?
Well, at this phase of our business, because we're actually going into our 7th year as in full-time entrepreneurship, which is, to me, it's a big deal, because
Mm.
most businesses don't make it past 5 years.
Yeah.
A lot of businesses, especially coaches and marketing agencies, don't make it past the 2 or 3 year mark. I decided based on two things, actually three things. Number one, what did I want to see more of in the world? Right?
Mm.
I want to use my superpowers for good. So what do I want to see more of in the world? Number two, who have I gotten really great results with in the past? Like how have I been able to help them? And then the third thing was, do I really like these people? And so that's kind of what
Mm.
helped me focus on coaches and healers and spiritual entrepreneurs, people who are doing this light work and to be trailblazers that really want to have a bigger impact in income. I've had tremendous success with helping them get really clear on their audience and offering messages and put automated systems in place. And I actually like those people. Like I like having conversations and talking about different healing modalities and spirituality. So those three things had to be checked on my box. And that's
Mm.
how we got to where we are.
I love that. Yeah, that reminds me of author Michael Port talks about the red velvet rope policy, how you can determine who you let in and who you don't let in, and who you work with. And it's we have to take into account how easy they are to work with, how much you can help them, how much you want to spend time with them, because we've all had customers that we are not the easiest to work with, and we probably don't want to be working with those full time. So I
Absolutely.
love this. This is all such great information, Ty. How can people get in touch with you?
Well, if you're following me on social media, you can find me at Tai Goodwin on all the different platforms. So Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram are the main platforms. And then if you're interested in learning more about the quiz stuff for yourself and for your own business, we've got a quiz that you can take on quizzes. It's in, I can drop the link for that. It's quizandgrowrich.com/quiz type. Right. But you
Okay.
can go to that link, you can take it, and that way you'll take a quiz. So you'll see the full experience of it, but then you'll also get the emails that kind of give you some educational pieces, and you'll actually get a report about which quiz might be right for your business.
Oh, that sounds perfect. I will put the links to those in the show notes. Ty, it's been great chatting with you today. I really appreciate you taking the time.
Well, it's been my absolute pleasure, Janice, and thank you for creating this opportunity.
Well, there you have it, folks. The lowdown on why quizzes just might be the missing piece in your marketing puzzle. A big thank you to Tai Goodwin for sharing her expertise with us today. To learn more about Tai and get her download, visit myweeklymarketing.com/41. That's myweeklymarketing.com/41. If you found this episode valuable, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, and I would love a review. I'll be back next week with more discussions to help you navigate the ever-evolving landscape of marketing. Until next time, keep innovating, keep growing, and we'll catch you on the next episode. Thanks for listening. Bye for now.